Hutch closers. What is the difference between that person swimming at the top of the board, that person suffering and struggling at the bottom of the board? What is the difference between a chump and a champ? Number one, a champ shows up for one thing and one thing only, and that is to do business. They're not there to waste their time. They're not there to make friends. They are there to get ink on paper. That is a champ's job, and those people that are constantly at the top of the board, you know it. When you show up, you're not there worrying about what everybody's going to do that weekend, what everybody's going to do that night, where everybody's going to eat. You don't care about that new movie that just got released and when you're going to see it. You care about one thing and one thing only, that's getting ink on paper, and everything else before that ink hits the paper was done for free, and the champ knows it. No sins of wasting their time here. A champ is not going to waste their time. They're constantly moving. They're constantly busy. Everything they're doing is trusting a process to get somebody in front of them so they can close a deal. You want to be a champ? Right now, stop wasting your time. Show up to do business. Mimic those people at the top of the board. Find something to do. Go close a car deal. Go prospect. Get somebody in front of you that is a qualified customer that's there to do business, that needs your services, wants whatever product that you're offering. That's who you need in front of you right now, and then you need to be closing them. A champ always takes responsibility for where they're at. They're at the top of the board. You know why they're there? They're there because they got themselves there, because they never stopped working. They kept pushing. They kept grinding. They kept hustling. They kept pushing to get to the top of the board, and they take responsibility for that. And the minute they start slipping back, it's not because of somebody else's fault. It's not the customer's fault. It's not the inventory's fault. It's not the dealership's fault. It's not the manufacturer's fault. It's not their sales manager's fault. It's not because they're getting the wrong leads. It's their fault. And you know, they trust themselves that if they keep moving, they keep putting one foot in front of the next, they keep following the process and doing the things that's made them successful to this point, they will achieve, they will get to the top of the board, and it will happen. No victims here. I'm telling you, no sins are being committed by the champs at the top. No victim. Responsibility, responsibility only from a champ. A chump shows up and they're not committed. A champ is always committed. They're committed to the deal. They're committed to the process. They're committed to making something happen. They're committed to advancing their life, their career, their status in life. They're committed to achieving their goals. They've committed to upping their attitude. They practice every single day. They're constantly looking for ways to better themselves. And they're not getting caught up in all the minutia and the negative gravity that pulls you away from anything other than closing the deal and getting ink on paper. It starts sounding like a broken record, because everything else you do, when you start a sale here and you end it here, everything between here and there is done for free. And a champ knows it, and he's committed to the process. He's committed to getting to the end. Everything he starts out has the end in mind, and how is he going to get ink on paper? How is the champ going to achieve that, whatever the goal is? Whether the champ's looking to knock somebody else in the ring or win the Tour de France for the 5th time, that's what the champ is there to do, and they've committed to that process. And they understand that everything that they've done up until that point is free. It's free to everybody around them. Only thing that matters is winning. And they commit to that process that gets them there, that gets them to the winner's circle. That's what a champ does. If you believe that you have a deal, and if you believe you don't have a deal, guess what? You're probably right. Pick one. You either believe you do or you believe you don't. You're probably right. And you know another thing winners have? Winners have a winning attitude. And that may sound just, everybody says it, right? I mean, it just starts getting banal. You hear it all the time. You've got to be a winner. You've got to have an attitude of gratitude. I mean, just the attitude. You hear it all the time. It's one of the few things you can change. In fact, it's probably realistically the only true freedom that you have in life is understanding your attitude. Somebody can come in, they can take every single thing you own away from you. They can take every freedom that you have. They can gouge out your eyes, bind your hands, your feet. You can't move, you can't talk, and the only true freedom you have is how you respond to it and what your attitude's going to be. But you know, true winners, those true champions, not only do they know that, but they believe that they deserve to be winners. They believe that they deserve to be at the top. That is where they're supposed to be. It's not by accident that they're at the top. It's not something that just happened overnight. When they started out, they knew that's where they were going to end up. They knew they were going to end up being the champ. They knew they were going to end up being a winner. And anything other than that happening is a complete and total surprise to the champ. If a champ was to go buy a lottery ticket and they scratch it off, they expect to win. They didn't start out to lose. I didn't buy this lottery ticket to lose. I didn't take the time to spend my $2 and scratch this ticket off to lose. And if it is a loser, something went wrong, I got to go buy another one because I'm fixing to hit. A winner believes that. They believe in their heart that they deserve to be there. And when you believe that, when you believe you're a winner and you not only know that you're winning and you're doing winning things, you change your vibration. Your vibration changes and what you put out into the world changes, and all of a sudden people want to start gravitating towards them. When you see somebody win a boxing match, when you see the winners win the football game, what happens? The crowd goes where? To the winner, because that's what they want to be next to. Where are the losers? You don't see them again. They're off by themselves. Their heads are down. They're covered. They're alone. People don't want to be around the loser. They gravitate naturally. Human nature is to gravitate towards a winner. People want to buy from winners. They want to feel that from you. And winners believe that they are supposed to win, that it is no accident that they're at the top of the board. It's no accident that they're leading whatever contest they're supposed to lead, whatever sales challenge that was put out there, whatever report card that we want to look at. And the number one you've got is their report card. When they look at it, they expect to see those zeros. They expect to see those extra commas. It's what winners do. And they change their vibrations and they pull people in. Change your attitude. Start right now. Know you can control it. The chumps, they struggle. And it's not me. It's somebody else's fault. I've had such bad luck in my life. When have you heard a champ say that? When have you heard a winner say that? Guess what? They don't, because it wasn't expected. If something bad happened, they moved on. That was just something that they can learn from. It was just a lesson that was put in front of them so that they could fail, they could learn from that failure, and they never see failure as failure. It's only a way to learn and move towards success. And if we're going to talk about champs, if we're going to talk about the difference between a chump and a champ, you can't have that conversation without talking about one of the greatest comebacks in sport history of all time, 2019, Tiger Woods. My man, Tiger. I remember when I wanted to be Tiger so bad, and I would go buy all the same golf clubs that Tiger Woods had, and I had the Nike hat and the Nike shoes and the Titleist clubs, and I even wanted like AT&T slapped on the side of my bag one time. I'm telling you, it wanted to be Tiger. Everybody wanted to be Tiger. When they tuned in on Sunday, all golfers wanted to be Tiger. But you know the one thing that I didn't do like Tiger? I didn't practice like him. Champions practice, and they practice every single day. That's what you're doing here right now. That's what makes you a champ. That's why you're climbing your sales board. You're looking to better your life right now, increase your status in life, is because you're here right now, you're practicing. This is practice. That's what we're doing. But you know, when Tiger Woods hit the tee box, he knew that he had that self-confidence that he wasn't going to be outworked, and there probably wasn't anybody else who was going to take that tee box that day who had practiced and worked as hard as him. Tiger's schedule in his prime, he was practicing 13 hours a day. When we look at how he is at the top of the leaderboard, when he climbs the board and he swims at the top, that was 13 hours a day. He would get up, he'd run 4 miles, then he would hit golf balls, then he would run 4 more miles, then he would hit more golf balls. Then he would go play basketball. Then he would hit more golf balls. Then he would run 4 more miles. and then he was done for the day. But it was 13 hours of non-stop practice. And this is from the #1 player in the world. He's already the best. Why keep practicing? You're already the best. What else do you have to achieve? There's always something else to achieve. And the minute that you think that you know it all, you're probably starting to lose. That's the point when you start to sink. That's the point when the little tail of the boat starts to drift and the nose starts to tip up and it starts to pull you down, because there's never a point when you know it all. We have to continually practice, and champions know that. Chumps are constantly distracted. They're constantly distracted by things that have nothing to do with closing the car deal and bettering themselves in their life. They want it, they see it, but they're not willing to put the work in to get it. You're a clutch closer. You're a champion. I know you're willing to put the work in. That's why you're here now. And while all that's true, all of that is true, the difference between a chump and a champ, showing up, not wasting your time, putting the practice in, all that's true. I thought there has to be one thing. What is one trait that all closers share that are at the top of the board? What is one trait that all champs share that constantly pushes them up at the top? And can we take all of this, put it in a pot, and boil it down to a simple answer? And you know, I came up with one thing. It's the one thing that all of them share, that every champ does. And the difference between the person at the top and the person at the bottom, the one thing is where they quit. Where do you stop? How many no's can you take? How much rejection can you shoulder on one day, in 1 week, in 1 month, from one person, from 10 people, that you keep moving forward? How many no sales can you endure? How much time and effort can you put in? How many hours can you put into closing a deal only to be rejected and still pick back up the next day and start over at zero and keep pushing forward? And then I thought, well, it can't just be that simple. What makes them not quit? So then I knew I hadn't boiled it down far enough. What makes that person quit? And that comes down to one thing. How much suffering can you endure? When we talked about how many no's you can take, how many rejections you can take, how many doors you can have slammed in your face, how many times somebody can tell you this isn't right for you, you can't, you won't, you're not, no, but yet you continue to push forward. You continue to move forward towards the close, towards bettering your life against all odds and obstacles that are placed in front of you. It's how much suffering can you take. We talked about Tiger. That's a lot of suffering. 13 hours of practice in a day when you really get nothing for it. There's no cameras there. There's no autograph seekers. There's no fame. There's no fortune. You're just there practicing. It's him and a golf club. It's him and a pair of sneakers running 4 miles to keep his mind sharp and his heart rate up. It's just him and himself, and he's the only person that he's competing against at that point in time. Because when you're figuring out how to get to the top, you are your competition. It's you. You got to look in the mirror and decide that day, how much suffering are you going to endure that day to keep moving forward? You look at the ultimate sufferers. To me, we've said it, I like to cycle, and I'll compete in cycling. And the ultimate people that win are the ones that can take the most suffering. When you talk about the Tour de France, and we talk about just a pinnacle of sports, in my opinion, it's 28 days long of riders riding all out every single day for 100 miles a day. You want to talk about suffering, go get on a bike right now and ride 10 miles, ride 20 miles. Think you're going to ride 50? These guys ride 100 miles 28 days in a row. Suffering. Ultimately, that's what's going to make you a clutch closer. How much suffering you can endure. Don't quit. Keep closing the deal. Keep being a clutch closer. Hit the subscribe button. That's clutching the close. Hit the little bell over in the corner. That's clutching the close. And if you think you like what you saw, give it a thumbs up, clutch closer.